Welcome to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri, and today I'm with Azim Jamal. Welcome, Azim.
Thank you, Paul.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Azim is a renowned speaker and coach, and today we're going to talk about the art of selling. Tell us, Azim, the art of selling. What does it really mean?
I think it's really something that you can master in your life in terms of it's understanding people's psychology, understanding how you go about winning people's trust, confidence, how you understand people's needs at a deep level, how you're very present and active in listening, what you're hearing, how you're aware of your own talent and product and services.
But why do we call it an art, and why shouldn't it be a science?
I'm sure you've heard the saying that facts tell, emotion sells. A lot of people buy with emotion. Sure, if you have a woman in your house and they buy stuff, you think they use science to buy stuff.
They should be emotionally connected.
Yeah, they emotionally, that really does the trick, right? But, it's also a science. I mean, you can learn to get better at what you do. You can be objective, you can observe, you can come up with a process. So I think it would be unfair to call it one or the other. I think both play a part in getting the best outcome.
I read one of your books, and you are talking about great salesmanship. And I wish to ask you, what does it take for somebody to be a great salesman? Is it a skill? Is it a talent?
See, if you look at, I don't know if you read the book by Ogmandino. He says the greatest salesman in the world. And if you look at some of the things he talks about in the book, you won't see them in the normal scientific book. They are more what goes behind the science, right? He talks about having love for the customer, meaning you care for the customer, understanding that you really want to make a difference to the customer.
The relationship.
Yeah, and long-term sales happen because there's a connection, there's a relationship, there is a trust, and there is an impact in the end, and not a quick fix or quick grab, right?
Yeah, I remember one of the interesting aspect is to build the relationship and keeping in touch with the customer, trying to give him some of the information which can help him build the business.
Yes.
Because sometimes there are fears, and this is another question which I think is quite interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, like what are actually the fears that customers have when approached by people doing sales?
Yes. So the initial part you mentioned about keeping in touch with the customer. So you don't always go to the customer to ask business, because if that's what you do all the time, then they feel you are just there to grab their money. But you go and meet them and find out how things are going, how's their family, how's their business, understanding what's happening in the customer's life. So, top of mind is top of wallet. If you keep yourself in the eyes of the customers all the time, the customers begin to trust you, they come to know you, and you come to understand their needs at a deep level.
So right? It means you should be more of an expert advisor than somebody who's pushing
you're more like
money.
A consultant, more like a coach, more like a helper to solve their problems, which leads to your products and services being appreciated because they actually help the customer, eh? And not the other way around. And in terms of fear, I mean, the customers who fear salespeople are the people who are very pushy and they demand, and they don't, they become very more like pests as opposed to people who help you.
Okay, let's talk about professional selling. Is there something like stages in the process of creating a sale, or it's simply how you move with the pace and the customer?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, if you look at my colleague Brian Tracy, he calls it the 7 steps or 7 secrets. He talks about prospecting. If the prospect is not right, you're wasting your time. If you're going to
what does it really mean?
Well, it means that if you're going to somebody who cannot make a decision, and you do a fantastic sales job.
So you need to understand before who makes the decision.
Yeah. If the guy can't make a decision, you wasted your time. Or you go to somebody who doesn't actually need your product, and you're spending so much time explaining your product, you're also wasting your time. So it's important to start with a prospect. Have I got the right prospect who is able to make decisions? Have I got the right prospect who needs my services and my products? Then you got to start, right? Because now you're talking to the right person. So that's where it begins. The second step is to build rapport and relationship. If I don't have a rapport with somebody, or a relationship with somebody I'm trying to sell, I might do a great job, but the person doesn't have any any connection.
But Azim, how do you start building the rapport?
Yeah, so I think it's a question
a
of
new customer.
Yeah, I think it's a question of taking interest in the customer, right? Doing some research on the customer in terms of who the customer is, what the customer's background is, what made him successful or her successful. Some things like that can then start a conversation. And the conversation is not about sales.
And do you think at this stage it's quite necessary as well to start about the competitors, your competitors, like who is selling to him?
Yes, I think that comes later. So the first step is you prospect, right? The second step is you build rapport. The third step is you identify the needs, the deep needs of the customer. I'm giving you the 7 steps that Brian Tracy talks about in his thing. So you identify the customer's needs, because if you don't know the customer's needs, the customer doesn't care about your product and services. He or she cares about their needs, right? Number 4 is you're able to present persuasively. You can present well, right? Number 5 is how do you handle objections, because the customers will all have some kind of objections that are coming. That's where sometimes they bring the competitors and say, but this guy is giving me this, what are you giving me, and so on and so forth. And that's where your USP comes in, your unique selling proposition, why you're different from others, your brand, all this stuff comes in. And then you close the sale. You can't keep talking and talking and talking. At some point you got to close the sale. When the time is right, you answer all the questions the customer has had. Then you ask the customer, do you have any more questions that you want to ask me? And if the customer doesn't have any more questions...
Maybe for people who are not professional sales people, closing a sale, what?
Well, I think the idea is once you've done the prospecting, the rapport, the needs, the presentation of your ideas persuasively, answer all the objections, then you ask the customer, is there any more questions you have for me? And if the customer says no, then you basically say, do you want to give it a try? Or, can we make a deal and I'll take care of all the details. So, you lend the customer to make a decision. And also if you're giving some kind of guarantee and protection, then the customer has not much to lose, right?
I think this is very important, Azim. From my experience, I remember one of the entrepreneurs used to come to my office. And this guy used to carry the receipt book and the performer invoices. So when you finish with the conversation, then you make a sale. At the end of the day, it's about selling. Okay, let's come back, Azim.
And before I forget, one more last thing is to get repeats and referrals, which people forget. If you do a wow job with somebody, the person is quite excited to recommend you, because if you recommend, for example, if you recommend me and if you wow by my services, and if I wow the other customer is going to thank you for recommending me because I wowed him. So if you've done a good job, then you don't mind referring because you're going to get the credit for referring somebody so great, right? And of course, if I wowed you, I can get repeat business from you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we don't forget that part, because that's the ultimate part, eh?
I've seen a lot of referrals
in your life, right?
Yeah. Okay. You have mentioned about the steps now in creating a sale. If I have to now approach the prospective client, and before going to a meeting, maybe how should I prepare?
So first step, you ask yourself, is this the right prospect? So make sure you do some homework, or ask some immediate questions to tell you. You can ask the question, who makes decisions in your business to hire people, whatever you're selling. If you're selling coaching services, the question would be, who makes decisions in your business to hire coaches? And if he says the CEO makes a decision, or the head of HR, who is the head of HR? And if it's not him or her, then the next step is for you to get to that other person, not to this guy, to start your thing.
And researching, what do you research about the personal, like traits, character, interest, or what exactly do you need to research about the people who make decisions? How they make decisions? Or
I think you look at their background, where they're coming from, anything interesting about them. So when you meet them, for the idea of building rapport and relationship, you go into those areas which are something that person might be interested. If he's a fan of Chelsea and you want to about Arsenal, so whatever, you try to start finding some common things to start discussing, other than the business, other than your products, so that you're building some kind of rapport, right? And then after you've done that, then the next step is to look at the person's needs, what they need. And sometimes there's a need behind the need to tell you this, but if you keep asking more questions, you find the need behind the need. It's more deeper. And then you have to ask yourself, are your services, your products able to help this person overcome their needs? And if they are, then there's a connection, there's a potential sale, right? in terms of discussion of how your services or products could help the person.
Okay, we were talking about being a great salesman,
Yes.
and I would wish to ask you, what comes first? Is it a great product or service, or a great salesman?
Well, they say, a great salesman can sell ice to an Eskimo, so he'll get away with selling the ice, but after a while the Eskimo will realize I don't need the ice, so next time he won't buy, right? So, of course, they say a great salesman can sell a lousy product. A lousy salesman cannot sell a great product.
Okay.
Yeah? However, the idea is, if you want long-term business, you want to sell things or services or products that actually help the customer in terms of, have an impact on the customer, because you want repeat business, you want referrals. You don't want to get away with a sale and feeling good about outdoing somebody, but in the end, the truth will come out.
It has been interesting for the first part of the conversation, and let's go for the short break and then I'll come back again to continue the discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri and I'm still with Azim Jamal. Azim was talking about the art of selling and, steps to building a sale. Maybe let me ask you, in a corporation or a business, and you have to hire people as a sales force, what are the major criteria business need to consider or an entrepreneur if making decisions to hire a team for sales?
It's a good question. I think, there are certain principles you look for hiring. For example, my daughter, when she finished university, she went to apply for a job. She was 22 years old, 23 years old. She got interviewed by 8 people, 2 people at a time in 4 different locations before she got hired. What it meant was the people took hiring very seriously. The companies like Starbucks, and big other companies, they hire slow and they fire fast. Because they take a long time to hire the right person. So they need to understand, who am I hiring, why am I hiring that person, what do I want this person to accomplish, and then they do a quite rigorous way of, not that my cousin's available, come and work for me. Right? It's not like that, right? So it's no different in hiring a sales rep. What is the objective you have in hiring this person. Of course, there are certain qualities the person must have in terms of confidence, in terms of appearance, in terms of charisma, in terms of the way they speak, the way they listen, how engaging they are. All these things play a part in knowing that, because selling means meeting people and going out and asking for an order and all that, and you have to have those basic skills to be able to attract the outcome. And of course then the other things which are your resume, your background, how much experience you have. So you cut down the learning curve in terms of, if the person has no experience, no understanding of your industry, the learning curve gets bigger, it takes longer for them to produce results.
Yeah, my experience in businesses have taught me that sometimes when you're hiring the sales people may be a bit different from other maybe marketers, accountants, because they have to deliver the results. And sometimes if they don't deliver results, then their relevance in the organization becomes, it's not there anymore. Of course. But how do you motivate and keep those people perform?
Yes. So you're right that salespeople are a different breed. Yes. From the other, an accountant who likes to sit in a desk and do the numbers, and they may not have the natural kind of inclination to go out, right? So that's important. And you said the second question: how do you motivate the people?
How do you get them motivated, keep moving, pushing?
It's the whole idea of leadership, right? In terms of engaging, empowering, energizing. So getting people involved, make the target and the goal and the vision part of their thing. Rather than you telling them what to do, you get them engaged. What do we want to achieve? Why do we want to achieve what we want to achieve? Create that burning desire that comes from within. Because ultimately, if you're inspired from within, if you're motivated from within, and if you're energized from within, then you will be able to overcome obstacles on the way you go, right? Because you're gonna have obstacles. Sales is, you get a lot of rejections on sales. and you need to have that thick skin to not worry about the rejection, because every rejection that comes in, you say, fantastic, I'm one more closer to my yes. The more no's I get, the closer I am to a yes.
Opens more doors.
So the idea is to motivate them in terms of being part of the process. They are part of the goal. It's their goal as much as your goal. And then, of course, you reward people on results, not on effort. Outcome is more important than output.
Yeah, maybe let's speak about reward systems. As you have spoken to so many people around the world, and I know you consult businesses. What are the workable compensation models? I know, for instance, some of the businesses nowadays would wish to pay salaries for the sales force, but others, they say, I think I need to pay commission. The more you deliver, the more you get, to bring this sense of ownership. What do you think works, or it's a mix of the two?
Yes, there's no black and white answer, but think about it, okay? In terms of, if you want to have a meritocratic organization, a meritocratic culture, then you want to reward by results, because no results, no rewards. So people are now based on results. Not that I'm going to work for 15 hours doing nothing or doing menial things and I want to get paid. If people want to get paid for just sitting down and being there, then you're rewarding mediocrity, right? So if you want to create a meritocratic culture, you want to reward by results, where the commission structure and the reward structure comes in. Having said that, people have some basic needs and they have some basic expenses that they need to look after, because so I think you could have a mixed one where you have basic pay, just to meet, and then the rest can come on results, right? So, but the more the reward system is on results, the more people are excited if they're hungry for more, because they will produce more, because if they produce more, they'll get more.
They feel they're also growing, the company is growing and they're growing too.
And people have capacity, a lot of capacity, but can you imagine if you're paying someone just a salary, and the self-motivation to achieve much more success will be not natural, because they know if I produce more, I'll get recognized, but my reward will come much later. But if I get a reward immediately of my results, then you are more excited to do that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's so. It's no black and white answer, but usually a meritocratic culture is created by a reward system which is based on results, not effort.
Okay, so there's people who are into the service sector, for instance. In most cases, they have to do what we call consultative selling, in which you have to engage and negotiate. And I think negotiation skills are quite important. What would you probably advise somebody in that kind of sector?
So you're asking two questions. One was you're asking a question about a service industry where you're selling services, like in my case, I would be selling my business in terms of unleashing people's power within, finding synergy of business balance beyond, to get material abundance blended with passion.
Something which people can't touch, but
sometimes, yeah. So I think when a person meets you, first of all, you're the brand. You're selling yourself. You're representing your company, but if you're not the right product or right person to sell it, people judge you and then judge the company, because you represent the company. So they look at you in how you engage, how you're present, how you're a great listener, how you are able to understand people's needs, how you respond to them. All this, everything that about you, people are making a judgment, right? So if you are confident about what you have to offer, and you're willing to take time to build rapport and relationship and understand the client's needs, and the client's needs behind their needs, so going a bit deeper, and of course the prospect has to be right, then you're able to answer objections that they may have or comparison with other competitors, and then be able to present persuasively. All these things play a part in winning people's confidence about the services you're offering, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, the customer wants his problems met, and if he or she feels you're the best person to respond to their needs, and you're competitive in the industry, then you have a much better chance of getting the sale, right? So I think that's a very important piece. The second question you asked with this was about negotiation, and I'm sure when you go in the aeroplane, sometimes you see a magazine. I think the fellow's name is Krauss. He has a nice quote. He says, "In life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate." So negotiation is a very important skill to have in terms of, because you're always negotiating without realizing. The kids negotiate with the father and mother. Yeah, you negotiate with your spouse to which holiday to go to. We're always negotiating in some way or the other, and understanding that whole art and science around negotiation can also help you achieve great success. In terms of sometimes, you might value something more than I value. If I give you that part, you think, oh, you got so much value, but it was not much of a loss to me. And in that process, I can get something else that I want more. But you can only do those kind of negotiations if you understand what the person's value is more compared to what you value more, and they may not be the same thing.
So before I go to the negotiation table, what are the major issues to consider?
So I think the issue is to understand the person you're negotiating with. What do they want? Why do they want? What is the win for them? What is the win for you? You have to be very clear about your goals.
What you want.
Because sometimes what happens on the negotiation table, you start saying you're wrong on this and wrong on that, but that's not relevant. The relevant is what is your goal? Rather it's like when I write my book on happiness, I say, you can either be right or you can be happy. So I choose happiness. I don't want to be right. You can be right, but I want to be happy. So knowing your goal makes you focus on the negotiation table on your goal and not get caught up about things that are not important, right? And understanding the other person's goals as well. So the more you are able to meet the other person's goals, the more you meet your goals. Okay. Our old friend who died recently, Zig Ziglar's, I think his quote says that the more you help other people get everything they want, the more you get everything you want. So it's like that, but you can only satisfy those kind of things when you understand what the person is wanting, right, in the deal, and what you want in the deal, and making sure that that those two are kind of met in some way.
Okay, and I think some of the people watching you now would wish to know, going beyond, like that these concepts, branding, marketing, sales. Maybe we need clarity when we talk about marketing and branding. How different these concepts vis-a-vis sales are?
So brand is, what does your brand stand for, right? People have an impression of the brand based on your delivery. You see, everything you do, everything, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you write, represents your brand, right? So for example, if my brand is Corporate Sufi, which means that I feel that I'm different from others because I ensure that you get material abundance blended with purpose, passion, meaning, and happiness. So it's not one-sided. It's a corporate side,
the
success.
360.
Yeah, and there's the other side, which is the soft side. Now everything I do, even in this interview, am I representing that balance between the corporate and the other side, right? The giving back. So the articles I write in the newspaper every Thursday in the business section, does it reflect that? Everything that you do, your website, your staff, has to support the brand. So once people have a great brand, for example, Apple. When Apple come up with a product, iPhone 6 or iPhone 5 and iPhone 6, there's a lineup with the store. It's like because the brand is strong, they've delivered on their promise, people like the product, and so the brand sells. So that's the branding, right? So everything about you, first of all, you need to know what your brand is, what you stand for, and then make sure everything you do supports the brand so people get confidence in the brand. Marketing is to create awareness of the brand. So you do your promotion, advertising, your communication, all this stuff to promote your products or services. And then selling is a much more active process. So actually, sometimes if you do your marketing great and branding great, then selling becomes redundant because people come to you rather than you going to them. Like in the case of Apple in some cases. But you still have to sell and go to different places and people who may want you to go to them as long as they come to you. And then you do the active process of prospecting, building rapport, identifying needs and all that stuff, right?
Okay, maybe talking to, for instance, to somebody who is a startup entrepreneur and he wants to push for sales, how different would it be from a large company?
Well, the difference with the startup would be that, you had to ask some fundamental questions. What business are you in? Why you're in this business? Doing your whole business plan. Is there a market for your product or services? Are you the best person suited for that product? Is it a natural skill for you? What is it about you that will be able to be competitive in the market and the kind of services and products you're offering? All this stuff has to be part of your process, before you talk about selling. Yeah. Whereas the established company has already been in the business so long, they have a good database, good client base. But even the bigger company cannot sit back because there are competitors coming in. They always have to differentiate their product. They always have to understand the client's evolving needs because needs are not static.
Okay.
Yeah. So the client's needs are evolving. the environment is evolving, the industry is evolving, so you cannot be static and sit back.
Okay. Azim, we have, spoken many aspects of sales, and I'm sure some of our, audience will be quite interested to know more about sales. So I think we can have another time to discuss about it, because our time is over, and thanks for coming.
Pleasure, Paul. Thank you for being very insightful in the questions you asked. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to have a chat with you.